Hello, my name's Dominic Fonte with Cutler Real Estate. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm very excited to give you some good news. Housing inventory, what is happening in the market? So today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what's happening with the inflation, interest rates. So how is that impacting the inventory of homes? So I'd like to show you a few slides. So let's just give you a broad overview of what's really happening, not what we're hearing, but what's truly happening. So slide number 1, seller traffic index. So as February 2022, you can see how many sellers are in the market to sell based on the current situation. So if you look at Ohio, and that's the bird's eye view, and then we'll kind of shrink it to where you are, it's still pretty stable. When you look at the buyer traffic, so that's always supply and demand. So the buyer traffic index in February show that we have a very strong appetite. Now, what happened in February versus today in April? Well, let me tell you, the rates went up almost 2.5%. So it's hovering around 6%. Now, I talked to you before about the seller-buyer market graph. So what would be a good balance between buyers and sellers in the market? So 5 to 7 months is usually a good balance. Well, as you know, we've been struggling in that department because of inventory. How many months of inventory do we have homes that are for sale? So if you look nationally, as the National Associations of Realtors always put their reports out, as of February, there's 1.7 months of inventory. So remember, if you have 5 to 6 or 7 months of inventory, we haven't seen that in years. So if we parse that down to, say, Stark County, we have less than 1 month's inventory. So of course, it's still favoring the seller, and that's why you're seeing these increases in appreciation. But this is what's interesting, this next slide. Active listings increased for the very first time in 6 months. So if you look at this in numbers of thousands, this is across the US, look at January on the left, 2021, and then follow that all the way to February 2022. You have 376,000 properties, right? So these would be active listings. And now you see just a slight uptick, which is the first time in many months. So that's a good sign. Now, when you go back to pending sales, and I hear on the headlines that sometimes pending sales are dropping, which they have dropped. But take it into perspective. Look at January 2012 and follow that dotted line all the way across. And this is the historic healthy level. And of course, you could see in January, February, and March of 2020, that's when the pandemic hit and you see the big drop. But look at how high we are when you look at the historic healthy level. We still are way above that, even with the shortage of homes. So when you hear them say pending sales have dropped, they still are up quite a bit. Now, one of the issues is we don't have enough housing units. So the new construction, even though we see an uptick in the last few years, if you take a look at the next slide, single family housing units completed. So take a look at that from 1970, 50 years ago. Follow that average annual unit completed. This would be new construction, by the way. And census is the source, but follow that dotted line all the way across to 2020. You can see that we're at 1970 levels of building. So obviously, we have a shortage of new homes. And the other headline I've been hearing a lot about is, I believe the shoe's about to fall in the real estate market, and we're going to have an avalanche of foreclosures. So the next chart is percentage of distressed properties, that are happening right now. And you can even see, if you look back when we went through the downturn, it would be 08 to 13, and you could see January 2012, 35% of every real estate transaction was either a short sale or a foreclosure, which really impacted the market. And that's pretty scary if you remember that. And then follow the foreclosures all the way down to January 2020 at 4%. And now, 2022 of January, we barely have any foreclosures whatsoever. So I think the biggest impact is going to be inflation and interest rates. So in closing, I'd like to say, you always want to stay informed about what the market's doing in your backyard, not in the headlines that tend to, create anxiety, but we want to clarify. So always stay tuned to the video updates that I always try to send out. And always, if you have a question or you're trying to figure this out, I know it's very confusing. So make sure you reach out to me at 330-418-1535. Send me an email if you'd like at Dominic@DominicFonte.com. And if you need to look me up online and check out my reviews to see what you would experience working with me and my team, go to DominicFonte.com. I have 350 5-star reviews. Or if you need to know what your house is worth and you want just a quick, easy 30-page colored computer version, really quick, a ballpark, go to whatsmyhouseworth.com. Thanks for tuning in.